Echoes of the Forgotten. I remember the first time I saw the house. It stood there, looming over the landscape like a sinister specter, its windows dark and its walls cloaked in shadows. They said it was haunted, that the souls of the damned roamed its halls, trapped for all eternity by some unspeakable curse. But I didn't believe in ghosts. Not then, at least. I was young and foolish, full of bravado, and eager to prove myself to my friends. So when they dared me to spend a night in that accursed house, I accepted without hesitation, confident that I would emerge unscathed and victorious. As I stepped through the threshold of the house, a chill ran down my spine, a chill that had nothing to do with the biting wind that howled outside. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the floorboards creaked beneath my feet as I made my way through the darkened corridors. I laughed at my own fear, dismissing the ominous whispers that seemed to echo through the empty halls. But as the hours passed and the darkness deepened, a sense of unease began to settle over me like a suffocating blanket, smothering my laughter and replacing it with a gnawing sense of dread. I tried to ignore the shadows that danced at the edges of my vision, telling myself that they were nothing more than tricks of the light. But deep down, I knew that something was terribly wrong, that I was not alone in that house, and that whatever lurked in its depths was watching me with eyes as black as the void itself. As the night wore on, the whispers grew louder, their voices rising to a fevered pitch as they spoke of unspeakable horrors and forgotten terrors. I tried to block them out, to cling to the last shreds of my sanity, but it was no use. The darkness had taken hold of me, its icy grip tightening with each passing moment. And then, just when I thought I could take no more, it happened. I heard a sound, a low, guttural growl that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. My blood ran cold as I realized that I was not alone, that there was something else in that house with me, something far more sinister than any ghost or specter. With trembling hands, I reached for the flashlight I had brought with me, praying that its feeble beam would drive back the darkness and reveal the source of the sound. But as the light pierced the gloom, my worst fears were realized. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at me from the shadows, their malevolent gaze burning into my soul like a branding iron. I screamed, a sound that echoed through the empty halls like a death knell, but it was too late. The creature was upon me, its claws extended and its fangs bared in a rictus grin. I tried to flee, to escape the clutches of the darkness that threatened to consume me, but it was no use. I was trapped, a helpless victim at the mercy of a creature from the depths of hell itself. As the creature closed in on me, its hot breath washing over me in fetid waves, I knew that my time was running out. I prayed for deliverance, for salvation from the horrors that surrounded me, but deep down, I knew that no one would come to save me, that I was doomed to die alone, forgotten and forsaken in that accursed house. And so, as the creature's claws tore into my flesh and its fangs sank into my throat, I closed my eyes and surrendered to the darkness, knowing that I would never escape the echoes of the forgotten that haunted that house for all eternity. But as the darkness threatened to consume me, a sudden burst of light pierced through the shadows, illuminating the room with an otherworldly glow. With a shock, I realized that the creature recoiled from the light, its twisted form writhing in agony as if repelled by some unseen force. In that moment of reprieve, I seized the opportunity to scramble to my feet and make a break for the door. Adrenaline coursing through my veins, I dashed down the corridor, the echoes of my footsteps reverberating through the empty house like a drumbeat of impending doom. But as I reached the front door, I found it barred shut, as if by some invisible hand. Panic surged within me, threatening to overwhelm my senses as I frantically searched for a way out. Desperation clawed at my mind, urging me to find a means of escape before it was too late. And then, with a sudden clarity born of sheer terror, I remembered the basement, a dark, foreboding place that I had avoided thus far, fearing what horrors lurked in its depths. But now, with my life hanging in the balance, I knew that I had no other choice. Gritting my teeth against the rising tide of fear, I forced myself to descend into the darkness, the stairs creaking ominously beneath my weight. The air grew thick and musty as I reached the bottom, my heart pounding in my chest as I fumbled for the light switch. With a flicker of relief, the basement was bathed in a dim, flickering light, revealing rows of dusty shelves lined with forgotten relics and moldering books. But as I scanned the room for any sign of escape, My gaze fell upon something that froze the blood in my veins, a pentagram etched into the floor, its twisted symbols glowing with an otherworldly energy. I staggered back in horror, realizing with a sinking dread that I had stumbled upon something far more sinister than I had ever imagined. The whispers in the darkness grew louder, their voices swirling around me like a whirlwind of malevolence as I frantically searched for a way to break free from the grip of the house's curse. But as I turned to flee, I felt a cold hand close around my ankle, dragging me to the ground with a force that left me breathless. With a cry of terror, I looked up to see the creature looming over me, its eyes burning with a hunger that sent shivers down my spine. With every ounce of strength left in me, I fought back against the creature, clawing and kicking with a desperate ferocity. But it was no use, the creature was too strong, its grip unyielding as it dragged me closer and closer to the pentagram. And then, just as all hope seemed lost, a voice echoed through the darkness, a voice filled with a power and authority that I had never heard before. It was Father Thomas, the kindly priest who had served as a beacon of hope in the face of unspeakable evil. With a prayer upon his lips, Father Thomas stepped into the basement, his presence casting a brilliant light that banished the shadows and drove back the creature with a force that sent it fleeing into the darkness. With a gasp of relief, I stumbled to my feet, my limbs shaking with exhaustion and fear. But even as I caught my breath, I knew that the horrors of that house would haunt me for the rest of my days, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beneath the surface of the world. As Father Thomas helped me to my feet, his eyes were filled with a mixture of concern and determination. "We must leave this place at once," he urged, his voice steady despite the chaos that surrounded us. "The evil that dwells here is too powerful for us to face alone." I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest as we made our way back through the labyrinthine corridors of the house. The whispers seemed to follow us, their voices growing louder and more insistent with each step we took. I could feel the weight of their malice pressing down on me, threatening to crush me beneath its suffocating embrace. But with Father Thomas at my side, I found the strength to push through the darkness, to fight back against the horrors that sought to consume me. Together, we reached the front door, our hands trembling as we fumbled with the latch. And then, with a creak of rusted hinges, the door swung open, revealing the moonlit landscape beyond. We stumbled out into the night, our lungs filled with the sweet air of freedom as we fled from the house that had nearly claimed our lives. But even as we escaped the confines of that accursed place, I knew that the echoes of the forgotten would haunt me forever. The memories of the horrors I had witnessed would linger in the darkest corners of my mind, a constant reminder of the evil that lurked just beyond the edges of our reality. As we made our way back to town, Father Thomas spoke of the ancient curse that had befallen the house, a curse born of greed and betrayal, and fueled by the darkest depths of human depravity. He told me of the souls that had been trapped within its walls, condemned to wander for all eternity in search of release from their torment. But even as he spoke, I could sense that there was more to the story than he was telling me. There were secrets buried beneath the surface of Willowbrook, secrets that had been forgotten by time, but whose echoes still reverberated through the fabric of reality. And as we walked through the moonlit streets, I knew that our journey was far from over, that the darkness that had consumed the house was but a glimpse of the true evil that lurked in the shadows, waiting for the opportunity to strike once more. But for now, we were safe. We had escaped the clutches of the house and its malevolent curse, and for that, I was grateful. But deep down, I knew that our victory was only temporary, that the echoes of the forgotten would continue to haunt us, even as we tried to leave them behind.